Okay, yeah, it's live. It's good to go. All right, guys. It's been a while. I know I'd take like 2 weeks off and then I feel all rusty. I'm like, how do I get the computer going again? And is my mic good and everything else? But we're good. We got it all straightened out. I'm so happy to have Karen Kennedy back on. She reached out and said, can I be a guest on your channel again next week? I'm like, absolutely. We can do this anytime, any day of the week. I know she's got a lot on her mind, but for those of you who have not met her or seen her content before, I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Mike. It is awesome to be back on here with you. Always a pleasure. And likewise, you can, in any time you invite me, I'm ready. We will work it out. I am, for those who may not know, I am Karen Kennedy. I am, it's weird to call yourself a patriot, but I know that based on my heart and my passion for this country, I definitely fall under the classification of a patriot. I'm a military Gold Star widow, and I lost my daughter due to Obamacare the same year that my husband was killed on active duty. And so after years of fighting the Obama administration, because my husband's benefits were denied to me after 22 years of military service, I figured out where God wants me to be and what he wants me to be doing. I am just his voice, and I am honoring the memory of my daughter, my husband, and so many other American citizens who are not, well, actually, we're being heard now, but our voices seem to be stifled for so many years. We were taken advantage of, we were taken for granted until Donald Trump came along. And we finally were heard. So this is my passion. I loved just sharing the education and waking people up to the tyrannical, decades-long American oligarchy that has plagued this country and pretty much usurped our natural resource, which is freedom. So I'm here on America's behalf, and we are going to just speak the truth. I love you, Mike. I appreciate you so much. You have so many people who watch my channel now came from your station, so I really appreciate you. And this week it appears that YouTube is leaving me alone. They've given me like 2 strikes, and I appealed the both of them. They took one off, I believe, and restored my channel. So it's really, really strange. They don't want Black conservatives speaking out. It's just, it's a thing. We keep going.
Yeah. And I say this all the time. You have the most underrated channel. You should have at minimum like 25,000 subscribers, because you've been doing it for a couple of years, at least close to as long as me. But nonetheless, guys, make sure you go to Karen's channel and subscribe. Like I said, I've been rusty. So if I don't do a live stream every week, I'll forget to do something. So one of the things I forgot to do was pin your channel to the top of the chat so people can find it. But I got great moderators. So they can find your channel, put it in the chat, or if you just type in Karen Kennedy, it should pop right up, assuming YouTube is leaving you alone enough to where people can actually find you in the search.
We'll see.
But yeah, let's go ahead and just dive right in. So there's a lot going on in this country right now. What's on your mind? What are you thinking about right now?
The border. We have an emergency. Please don't let anybody lead you to believe that this is not an absolute emergency. It is. And I say that from the perspective of someone who is working on the federal level. And I see the emergency. Let's just put it that way. And the staff is overworked. And the Border Patrol, Customs and Border Protection, they are overworked. They are underappreciated. when states like Texas have to call in the National Guard just to guard the border because there are, I can't overstate this enough. This is a problem. So the Biden administration is not going to do anything about this because they don't want to. And I just say that with confidence, because if you did, this would never have happened in the first place. So this is kind of where quite a bit of focus needs to be directed, is changing this so that it wasn't a problem before. And all of a sudden on January 20th, we wake up and it's a problem. It's a horrible, unspeakable problem. So there's that. Also, I wanted to talk a little bit about a video that I made, I believe yesterday. I haven't had the displeasure of running into a crazy crank leftist liberal in a little while, but it usually keeps my debate skills sharp. But I just want to reiterate, and I want to know your thoughts on this and your experience. Liberalism is a mental disorder. I met somebody at a restaurant on Saturday and we almost went to blows. I mean, she was insane. She was a psycho leftist, and she proudly proclaimed that she's a her words, bleeding heart liberal. And I knew right then that she was going to go psycho in just a few minutes, and she did. So what is your experience with these crazy people who escaped the mental hospital somehow? I don't know.
Well, where do I begin? First, let me quickly address this border thing. I'm actually multitasking because I wanted to play a video and I found the perfect one. You reminded me of this perfect one that will never not be funny as it relates to like liberals and just the meltdown and how just unhinged and deranged it is. Hold on. But basically about the border, it's like I can't keep up with it anymore because it seems like there's so much happening all at once that it's hard to divide up my attention to all of it and pay attention to one thing over the other. It's just like whatever's in the news cycle, I'm guilty of it too. I talk about it all the time. We're all responding to whatever stimulus is put out there, whatever the news overlords decide is important in the topic of the day is what we're all discussing. And people just kind of dig their heels in on one side or the other and just point fingers like it's liberals, it's conservatives. So you get what I'm saying. But like the border crisis has been a problem even under Trump. It was starting to get a little bit more under control. But now I think even just a couple of days ago, Biden authorized like 62,000 refugees for the year. I'm like, these things are so conflicting. We're in a pandemic, right? It's still an emergency, but you're going to authorize 62,000 unvaccinated people coming in from across the border, and that's okay. Like,
people that are refugees. These are in addition to the 76,000 who just show up from below the border. These are in addition to them.
You can't make this stuff up. And my thing is, I just want to know, like, because there are people who are like, Mike, you need to take the pandemic seriously. This is important. People are dying. We should not be out and about without masks. We should be really taking this seriously. But I'm like, so you're okay with 62,000 people just crossing the border and all the people that are just willy-nilly out in the streets? Like, you're cool with this? That's not part of the pandemic. Like, they just never cease to reach a new low as far as what they want to do with the country. They're obviously bringing it down in a major way. We saw it with the Derek Chauvin trial, the way that went. Now, if you had a little bit of faith in our justice system before that, which I didn't have much at all, now you really have no faith, right? It's like they just keep on attacking this country from different directions, and it's really hard to keep up. And that's why I've been recently just kind of talking about, well, there's only so much I can focus on. There's only so much that's within my realm of control. And
Right.
so I'm primarily focused on keeping Florida red. Like whatever's going on in California and New York,
Yes.
that's California's problem. That's New York's problem. Maybe, just maybe, we need to split into two countries. I'm just saying, I don't know if it's practical, realistic, or if it'll ever happen. But to me, it seems like a solution is something that can happen organically, something that can happen naturally, because the left will never leave us alone. Never. So why don't they just go to their own little utopian society? They can wear 15 masks. They can build a statue of Fauci.
Right.
They can do all of the things. Planned Parenthood on every single street corner, abolish police, no guns, free everything,
Right.
and they can just live in their utopian happy harmony. And conservatives, people that are freedom lovers, they can come to our side.
Right.
They can come to a state like Texas or Florida. It doesn't have to be a messy breakup. It can be, okay, move to this state, move to that state. But it just seems really hard to continue fighting these battles with all of these different issues we're facing. And like, for me to be upset about something that's going on in another state anymore, I'm just starting to get tired of it. Quite frankly, I'm like, well, I'm sorry, y'all voted for it, Minnesota. I'm sorry, y'all voted for it, Pennsylvania, Michigan, New York, Colorado, my home state that used to be a Republican state when I was growing up. It was a red state.
Unbelievable.
And, you know,
That's
now here we are.
Being here now, it's unbelievable. I wasn't here for that. So it's really, now it's these crazy psycho leftists who are so comfortable living in their bubbles. And I must agree with you concerning keeping red states red. You know what? That has to remain, that has to become and remain a absolutely purposeful focus, because what's happening is, what good is it to have red states when you have a bunch of weird Californians moving to your red state? Oh, by the way, that's another thing that they're doing with this border crisis, is they're bringing all these individuals in here and they're sending them to red states so that they can try to change the voting foundation, which is something that we should expect from losers like Democrats, who would never ever win if they didn't cheat. So what we have to do is keep I've been working on a local level, which is why I haven't been posting a lot of videos, because I've been doing a lot with local organizations and trying to get on the local school board. But I tell you what, Mike, Colorado is so infiltrated with communists, to the point where in the 2018 run for city council, I do believe it was, there were candidates who were literally running as communists on their yard sign. Communists. I still have the picture.
I remember that, actually. I remember it was a girl, right? She maybe was in her 30s or something. She seemed really young, obviously, if she's a full-blown communist. I don't know.
Yeah, she's never lived in a communist country. So those are the only ones who are communists, are the ones who never lived in a communist country. I'm just figuring that out. So quality of life is kind of where I'm at right now. In Colorado, it's going to take years to get this place back to where people are able to replace these commies with sensible conservatives and to take the state back. Because right now, we have the dumb, dopey donuts governor, Jared Polis, who just renewed the mask mandates for another 30 days. He's never going to stop. He's not ever going to stop. And people keep waiting with bated breath every month. Oh, he's going to do it this time. This time he's going to do it. No, he just sits there like a big dumb dope every month and keeps just re-upping the mask mandates. I think what he's going to try to do, and oh, please, please touch upon this. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game is coming to Denver. So you're leaving a predominantly Black state and Black city to come to a predominantly white state and white city that got more stimulus money than you. And there's nothing racist about that. I don't know, just saying.
Yeah, and there's the irony around it, right? Like, we're doing it for Black people, and we're doing it because Georgia's laws are Jim Crow on steroids, even though Colorado has the same laws, whatever. And it's just like defund the police hurts Black people. Everything they do pretty much has the opposite effect. It is double speak, 100%, just like everything that they've said that they were doing in the name of fighting for us, right? The war on poverty put more people in poverty. The war on drugs, we have more drug addicts than any other country in the world. We have opioid overdoses all over the place, right? The war on terror created a power vacuum with more terrorists. You can just go down the list. But before, I want to pull up this video. I found this video. So this is so funny. I don't know if you've seen the Subaru Karen video before.
Oh,
so
God, yes.
You asked, like, well, how do I encounter leftists and whatever? This video right here, if you guys have not seen it, I'm gonna play it because it's never not gonna be funny. This is, to me, the left, the crazy, like, insanity in a nutshell. She works in school. Look at that, wiper blades and mask under her chin. Okay. Okay, that's what I feel like. That's it. That's it right there. That is the insanity that we're dealing with.
God Almighty.
That is where we are.
That's the one from Saturday.
Does that not, like, just, I don't know, man. Does that not just personify where the left has gone? And the fact that she said she's a teacher, right? Last time you were on, what did I show you? Did I show you the vegan teacher?
Yes.
Yes. These are the people that are in charge of educating children who are masked up. You had a teacher just the other day talking about how horribly racist America is. All of these things. It's not just that there's some crazy people on the left. They have the most power. They're in positions of power. The most radical people are teaching kids. They're infiltrating corporations. They're running the highest levels of government. That's what the left is right now. So while the majority of the left, like people that I know on the left, I have some really good friends on the left, they would look at that video and be like, that chick's crazy. I have nothing to do with her. I'm nothing like that. That's true. I agree with that. But the people who have the power to change America look and act like her. There was so much wrong in that video. Her wiper blades are going. It's not even raining. She's wearing her mask in her car. Right. So clearly she's a COVID maniac. She's wearing it under her chin and shouting out the window. So she's a hypocrite, like either COVID serious or it's not. You're shouting germs out of the window. Then you're flipping people off. Right. You should be focused on the road. You're saying that you're a teacher, but you also that's the optics of that are terrible. That, to me, personifies how crazy and how radical the left is.
Yeah, so the encounter Saturday, one of the things that stood out for me with this cuckoo was her, you could tell that, okay, so she had a friend with her. Her friend is a Republican and a Trump supporter. So as I said in my video yesterday, it was me and her friend who got up to help this elderly people who arrived at this restaurant. Her friend and I, who are the Republicans, we're the conservatives, we got up to help the people. She's sitting there on her phone, probably wishing, thinking that because she had a thought of helping them, that somehow by osmosis, she's helping them because she thought she could help them. While me and the Republican, who is her friend, are the ones who actually jumped out of our chairs to go help. It's so one of the things she said that was really telling was when you could tell she was just scooting around in her chair because I knew what she was going to say. I knew it. And she's, I just don't understand. I just, she getting all red in the face and I'm like, oh, here it goes. Up in Broomfield, by the way. I know you remember Broomfield. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like 100% white. Okay. So I just can't understand. I just don't. How are you? I'm like, let it out. Because by then I'm mad. By then I'm ghetto. So I'm not going to repeat what I said to this female. So by then I'm losing it. Actually, I held it together. Let me just say that I didn't get thrown out, but she almost did. So she says, how can you be, and I finished her sentence, what, a Black woman who supports President Trump, who's a Republican, who's a conservative? I said, you just proved what I said. You proved how racist you really are. You're saying that I have to be Democrat because I'm Black. I can't be a Republican with a free thinking mind. I have to be on the plantation with the other Democrats that you as a white liberal get to control. She shut up for about 2 to 3 seconds until she could figure out how to clap back. But she didn't do a very good job because she doesn't have debate skills. She just screams and she just kept saying, he's a rapist. He's a rapist. He's a rapist. And it was just like, okay, finish stuffing your face because clearly that's all you do. And, it just became her friend and her friend started fighting with her. So then I'm trying to calm them down because I'm paying attention to the elderly couple who we just helped to get seated at a restaurant. It all happened very fast, but it just shows that crazy, insane. I'm telling Mike, the white liberals with money are the worst. They are the worst. They always have their cape on. They always have to help you because you're Black and you're stupid.
Yeah, I say all the time that if there ever was a definition of a white supremacist, it is a liberal, because in the most literal sense, they see white people as superior to Black people. You talk to a conservative, they're like, no, you're equal. Go get your own job. You're smart enough to govern your own affairs. I think you're capable. I think you're fully capable. I see you as a human. But liberals are like, you need help. You can't do this without government. What are you doing thinking for yourself? You're not allowed to think that, Uncle Tim. Right. That trends on Twitter. Oh, everyone's concerned about racism. Oh my gosh, America's a racist country. And then when Uncle Tim trends on Twitter, those same people, they head for the hills. They want nothing to do with it, even though if there is still any real racism, any real systemic racism, it's in Democrat-controlled areas. Yep. Period. Like who do you blame? From the top to the bottom in Minnesota, Democrats run it. You want to talk about how Black people are living in shambles in some of these areas? Systemic racism. Okay, from Tim Walz to what's that guy's name? Jacob Fry, Attorney General, all Democrats. Yep. And if you really want to go deep, it's Black Democrats that do the most damage. Look at Baltimore. Black mayor, black police chief, city council, black judge, everything Black Democrat. So it's like people want to complain about racism all day, but then when there's actual racism there, they turn away because it's inconvenient. But they're constantly hallucinating all these things that were not racist 5 minutes ago, but now oh my gosh, we're going to solve racism by doing this. You need to resign. You shouldn't have tweeted that when you were 13. Like they reach for racism because they know that it's almost non-existent anymore. America's not a racist country, but there are racist individuals like Joy Behar, people that, people that are constantly trying to lecture. If you want to see what racism looks like, go read the comments under any of Candace Owens' tweets. Go look at who's the one saying all that. There are, of course, black people that don't like her and they'll say whatever, but it's white people calling her coon, sellout, all these names because they feel emboldened. Oh, yeah. There's no consequences. Nobody checks them on it. So when someone like you checks them or confronts them, they melt down. They have a total just malfunction because they're not used to somebody that's articulate and thinks for themselves and is not going along with their narrative.
Right. I got Twitter deplatformed me once for Deborah Messing. She used to star on Will and Grace, and she didn't like what I said to her, so she contacted Twitter and got me deplatformed. And it just goes to show, they have their little minions, their little porch walkers working for them. What is the one, Tiffany something, I talked about her on one of my videos yesterday also. She's the one who did some analysis about Senator Tim Scott. She's a MSDNC host, and you could tell that she was reading from a teleprompter. And her words were likely written by a white liberal, honestly. This was just a couple of days ago, but it was highly insulting for her as a Black woman to have said these things about Senator Tim Scott. I mean, just highly, highly, highly annoying that she would put that out there for the audience that's mostly white to ingest this and to embolden them to start saying these words about someone who looks like her. And so it just struck me as very odd. And she just speaks well, but she's not very cerebrally astute. She is not academically astute. I don't know where she may have gone to school, but anyway, her diatribe about Tim Scott was very, very chilling. She used some very strong derogatory words.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the level of vitriol and hostility that we get from the people who claim that they are here to help. They're here to slay that dragon that is systemic racism in America and white supremacy, but it's all of them. All of the things that get called racist or get called into question on a daily basis are not done by Black people. Black people that are just not really in politics. They're not worried about what character or what fictional cartoon character on a box of cereal is upholding white supremacy and white normativity. They're not interested in that. What people are doing are these pseudo-intellectual, college-educated, like neo-Marxist, upper echelon. I could keep on going because I encountered it in Minnesota. These like elitist, liberal, snobby people that have BLM signs in their front yard, but would never go to the actual hood. They just want to virtue signal. They just want to show anyone else who doesn't agree with them how morally superior they are. It's about serving their own personal interests. It's about propping up and inflating their own ego. Yep. They want to show that they are morally superior to conservatives. And obviously, they think they're intellectually superior to Black people, Hispanics, Asians. That's why they think I have to put on my superhero cape and go save the Blacks today. I have to do it. If I don't put a BLM sign in my front yard, then that means I'm a part of the problem. Yep. If I'm not an anti-racist, whatever the hell that means, then that means I'm a part of the problem. If I don't push this Marxist agenda, if I don't start just attacking everything and calling it racist, voting laws and all this stuff, if I don't call all that racist, then I'll be consumed by the mob. But make no mistake about it. It's all white people doing it. It's all white liberals that are college professors, that are on these executive boards, that are in these focus groups, that are pushing out the critical race theory and 1619 project, they're the ones that are rolling this out on college campuses, right? So they're the ones doing that. And why? Why do they want to keep Black people in this state of like, hey, you were born, you can't do it. You just don't have what it takes. America is going to crush you. Right. All the while, they put the worst kind of Black people in the public spotlight. There are Black people who don't even know who Ben Carson is. They don't know who Thomas Sowell is. They didn't know who Walter Williams was. R.I.P. He just passed away last year. Walter Williams, Allen West. I mean, they learn about, we only get sound bites of our history in school, right? We don't know a lot about Black history. We don't get taught that. But what we do get taught is about just a couple things about slavery and Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman. We don't talk about Malcolm X. No, not anymore. We don't want to talk about that.
Oh, no. He warned us about
we put the
white liberal.
Yeah. And LeBron James thinks he knows. Oh, yeah, I'm reading this book. It's like, you didn't read the part where he talked about the white liberal? The fox will fool you. Yes. How they're there to help you, but they're systematically destroying you. Yes. Why do you think they ignore all of this Black on Black crime? They know what's happening. They live in these cities. They're the ones that are actually gentrifying some of these areas.
Yeah.
They see what's happening, but they're like, ooh, we got to turn a blind eye.
Right.
Because the soft bigotry of low expectations. They're like, it's just part of Black culture. It's fostered by hip hop. That's why I say they always shove the worst kind of Black people to the forefront. And I'll say this last thing about it. I'm tired. I'm not going to stand behind the ghetto trashy. I don't care. I don't care how controversial it is. I'm not standing behind ghetto trashy people that twerk on cars and sag their pants and talk loud and blast loud ghetto music driving through. They want us to embrace the worst parts of being Black. And they boil it down and say, well, the common denominator is you share a skin color. I'm like, I don't know a single Black person that does that. And I don't want to know anybody that does that. Right. So why do we put that on TV? Why do we celebrate that? Why do we defend that? We're supposed to defend that. Like, I'm supposed to see myself in all of these Black men that are getting shot, that are encountering the police all the time, that are breaking the law. I'm supposed to sympathize with that, empathize with it, because we share skin color. I'm not doing it because I don't identify with that.
No, because you chose better. You're not in trouble. In these cases, these individuals, they brought it upon themselves. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, because they were not in a coffee shop sitting down having a latte. They were in the middle of committing crimes. Hate it for you, but they were. The who was that? Makaisha, whatever her name is. I don't know. I can't pronounce these names. Sorry, my mother did not name me anything ghetto, so hate it for you. But the video, people were so focused on the cop saving the life of one while eliminating the other because she was threatening the life of the other. They totally ignored the dude who was kicking the other girl in the flipping head on the ground. Where are the feminists? Where are the women's rights groups? He was abusing that woman. He kicked her in the freaking head several times. She was already laying on the ground. Not still to this day. I'm the only one who said anything about it. Nobody cares that this big Black dude was kicking this Black girl on the ground in her flipping head. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's in the same video. They're all in a big brawl. And it was they were probably fighting over that dude.
Probably.
Nothing said about the dude. Why
yeah,
are
they don't
fighting? So no, we do not subscribe to that. We don't have to. And I think that liberal was mad because I'm not ghetto and she can't save me. So she can't put a feather in her cap. There's nothing she can do. So it's just all very odd. And I agree. We just ignore it, and eventually they'll shut up and go away.
Yeah. And that's why I think that they hate us so much, is because we represent a different image of what it means to be Black, if that's even a thing, because right. In their mind, we are the George Floyd. They're like, Mike, don't you see yourself overdosing on fentanyl? And, resisting arrest? Don't you see yourself firing at police? Can't you see yourself in that criminal, in that the person that, instead of, don't you see yourself in Ben Carson or somebody else that has a positive image, somebody that's successful, intelligent, stays out of trouble, somebody that's just an American, somebody that just wants to be treated equal, not special. They want us to identify with the former, with the criminals. That's it. That's all they see. So when they see someone like me or someone like you wearing an American flag hat, they have a meltdown. They don't know how to process it. And that's the biggest problem, is like, and I've encountered this quite a bit. You know, I have some friends that are liberals, and God bless them. I do still have a lot of friends that are on the left, but I would remember times in Minnesota where people would just be in a room and just assume that everybody agrees with them. So they'll pretty much just take a dump on conservatives, assuming everyone in the room shares their opinions. And it's such an arrogant, narcissistic way to go about social interactions. I never assume somebody agrees with me. So I wouldn't just sit there and dump on, like, if I just meet somebody for the first time, I'm not just going to be like, yeah, these crazy leftists were doing this and that, because the person I'm talking to could be that person.
Right.
But that's the difference between, I think, the left and the right. Is the left is so arrogant that they're like, everybody has to agree with me. If not, they're obviously an evil, immoral person. And that's why every time you get into some kind of altercation, or let's say a debate or an argument, I can't speak right now. It will devolve into insults and ad hominem attacks.
Absolutely.
Why couldn't that chick on MSNBC the other day just disagree with what Tim Scott said? Why did she have to call him a token and a clown?
Yep.
Because it frustrates her at what he said. When you can't defeat the argument, then you resort to attacking the person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, half the comments I get that are negative are people attacking me personally, not attacking what I have to say. And that just means that my argument wins. It stands on truthful ground. The truth bears no scrutiny. That's why I can speak it so confidently. So it's like, every time somebody leaves a comment, they say something negative about me, that just means they know that my argument is sound.
Yes. And they can walk away and they just racist. You're racist. You're a bigot, with their nose upturned. It's their only saving grace. They know they can't win elections. They know they can't win a valid argument. They can't do anything outside of virtue signaling. And one of the things this weirdo said was, she was still talking about kids in cages. I said, really? You have no idea what's going on right now? Really? I work in a federal agency. I see what's going on. Kids in cages, by the way, were built. They're 2014. They're an Obama transfer, by the way. It's like they've found the perfect scapegoat to blame all of the world's problems on with Donald Trump. They finally found the modern day Hitler, that they can just, everything that's wrong is his fault. Biden's blaming President Trump for the current border crisis. So I want to talk about the keeping Florida red, for instance, and how well that is going, keeping Texas red and how well that is going. South Dakota's going to stay red. I am not too worried about South Dakota. Wyoming, they're going to have to get rid of Liz Cheney and put a real conservative Republican in that spot. That I think that, like you said, places like Florida, places like Texas need to start vetting people. When you show up to try to rent a place and you just came here from where? From Colorado? Oh, hold on just a second. I need to contact this. Hold on just a second.
Contact Tracy.
Mm-hmm. And it's tied to a database, and someone contacts you within 2 business days and says, I need to know your beliefs. I need to know how you're going to vote. And it just needs to be militant like that. I'm using the word because otherwise what you're going to get is a bunch of this. It's what happened to Colorado. Is a bunch of Californians started moving here in the 70s and 80s, way before I ever, I wasn't here for all that, but they started moving to places like Boulder and Broomfield, and they just, Denver, and they just changed the way that voting was cast, and the leadership, and they infiltrated the education system and the universities and the colleges and the private sector businesses and medical industry. And now here we are where, you know, you have to wear a mask pretty much for the rest of your freaking life if you stay here. So keeping red states red is vital. And at this juncture, I love Colorado, but I'm just leaning toward fighting from a position of winning and not like under the ground trying to dig our way up. It's going to take this place at least 10 years to get rid of these commies. It's going to take time.
It's true. It really is. And that's why I'm just really focused on keeping my state red. Like when I leave my house, it doesn't matter if I'm going to Home Depot or the gas station or the post office. Each time I go, I'm seeing less people wearing masks. Even employees, they're supposed to wear masks.
Really?
I've gone into places where they're not wearing them, or at the very least, they're wearing them like a chin strap. I'm like, good for you. So the restrictions are falling, at least in my area. My area is pretty red, pretty conservative, so I don't have to deal with it. But when I see what's going on across the country, I'm like, hate it for you, but you got to do something about it. You got to do something about it, or just let it collapse. Let it collapse and then rebuild it. Because if all the conservatives, all the taxpayers, all the business owners flee California as they're raising taxes to pay for all these trillion-dollar bills, then it's just going to collapse.
Right.
And it becomes a wasteland. There's no turning back once it goes as blue as California has gone.
No.
Which is the perfect segue into this topic. I want to get your thoughts on this topic. What do you think about Caitlyn Jenner running for governor?
That's delightful. For one, I think that Gavin Newsom is very upset that he's being recalled, and he is going to be recalled. He's going to get kicked out because nobody likes him and he's ugly. He's releasing 80,000 dangerous criminals, including dangerous illegal aliens and gang members, but who cares? Because he's mad. I think he's doing it out of spite. Caitlyn Jenner is controversial already as a candidate because Caitlyn Jenner does not believe that transgender athletes should be, if you're a certain sex, that if you're a male, you shouldn't be competing in women's sports because it's not fair. And those were, calm down, YouTube. These were his words or her words. Okay, y'all getting on my nerves with all this. I can't keep up. These were Caitlyn Jenner's words, not mine. She was asked, how do you feel about transgender sports? So Caitlyn Jenner is already making a big splash and getting a lot of liberals very, very upset, very out of sorts, because they expected her to answer it in a different way. It didn't work in their favor. So I think Caitlyn Jenner is going to be, she's running as a Republican, I believe. Is that what's?
Yeah.
I think she's more Republican than people think. to come out the gate saying something like that in this climate, very risky.
Here's
California's, I don't know. There's a lot of conservatives in California right now because they're sick of the communism.
Yeah. Here's what I think. Okay. This is probably going to rub some people the wrong way, but
Lord.
I got to say it, man. I cannot get behind it. I can't do it. I can't. First of all, I can't call Caitlyn Jenner her or
I
she. It goes against
I know.
everything in every fiber in my being. I can't do it. I cannot. Now, let me say this. Caitlyn Jenner is a human being who deserves respect.
Yep.
I will call them Caitlyn because it's a name. It's a name. I have no problem calling him Caitlyn, but I cannot do the mental gymnastics necessary.
That's what it is.
To be like she, her. And I'm seeing a lot of conservatives, mainstream conservatives, that are saying she, her, and like it's kind of a thing. It's a thing where I see both sides of it, right? I see why people are on one side saying this is great because how's the left going to go up against this? Because if they do, they're transphobe, and she can really, she can get behind this thing. I get it. Like when you hear the name Caitlyn, you think of a girl, so you'll slip and say she, but I can't, while I'm conscious about it, say it. But some conservatives are really focused on like, well, this is the ultimate tool because how's the left going to attack it? For me, it's just not really it's a non-starter for me.
It's a non-starter.
Because on the other side, I totally agree with the people that are saying, well, if we back this, then we've conserved nothing. That just means we're in the slow lane towards this progressive agenda, whereas the left is full throttle in the fast lane. So what does it mean to be conservative if we're just arriving at the same conclusion as the left, but a little bit slower? And I talked about this a few months ago after I realized, well, I realized it sooner, but it really came to head at CPAC. CPAC is where there was a big debate about this, mostly online, about having a big tent in the conservative movement, because eventually it just becomes what the left is, where you're playing identity politics like, hey, look at my gay conservative. I don't know. It just seems impossible to me. But I mean, that's the mess California created for itself. If that is the best conservative or Republican, we'll just call it Republican because that's different than conservative. Yep. Mitt Romney's a Republican, for example. Let's just say that. If that's the best Republican California can come up with, that's on them. If they can't find a more traditional Republican to run or someone that's not, straddling that fence there, then that's what they got to deal with.
Got to agree with you there. You see how I got tripped up trying to explain that? And we shouldn't have to. I'm not much with the pronouns. The federal government is doing that now, by the way, when they send out email communications. I know the Department of Health and Human Services is the so-called leaders are calling themselves, they're using gender pronouns in their emails. So it's something that they're always trying to push a little bit more just to see what you'll accept. And you're right. If that's all California can come up with, it's like a kind of a deflection. It's to keep you focused on, oh, this transgender is running, where the message is lost and people are focused on that individual and their whatever they are. And the Kardashians, the Jenners, they have been doing this for 10, 15 years. They've been in the spot. They've been throwing themselves in the spotlight. When the con is up for one, like earth-shattering entertainment news segment, they go to another. Oh, Khloe did this, and oh, she married this basketball player, and oh, she married Kanye, and oh, they're getting divorced, and oh, they got 37 kids. They go from one to another to another. So here we are again with the Kardashians, the Jenners, stealing the spotlight. So it's like this never-ending entertainment show. And I know people will try to say that about President Trump because he was the Apprentice host, but he's different in that he changed this country for the better. And another thing I want to say really, really quickly on that is people want to say that Trump supporters worship this man. We do not. We have a champion of the people. We've never had that. So, of course, we're going to support that man when he has done things for this country that no other president has done. I mentioned in my video yesterday, he did away with the widow's tax. The military survivors have a tax on their income that they receive when their soldier or active duty soldier or their veteran passes away. Oh, you have to pay this widow's tax. And it was like 75% to 80% of what we should have been getting was like taken away by the federal government. They pay themselves like 80% of it, and they give you a little portion of it, maybe $310 a month. President Trump did away with that for military widows. So he changed things for the better. So there's no hero worship. There's no worship here. We worship Christ, period, full stop, end of story. We worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We do not worship a man. We are supporters of the tenets of freedom, of justice, and of truth, all things that Jesus Christ teaches and instructs us to do and follow. So that man is a representative of those things. He mentioned Christ all the time. He mentions God all the time. He's a new Christian. He's learning. But he submits to God, which is another thing that drives these Democrats insane, because they obviously lean in another direction. So no, we're not worshiping that man. Get it straight. He's a champion who worked for the people. We didn't get that in any other politician. Excuse you. Look at Mitt Romney. Look at John McCain. Look at Mitch McConnell. Look at these fools who have been in here for 50, 60 years. Steny Hoyer. Wasn't he like trying to trip Moses coming from Egypt? I mean, how old was that dude? Give me a break. So we have a champion, and we love this champion. You got another candidate? You got somebody else who's willing to step up for the American citizen and not a bunch of illegals all the time? Go ahead, bring them forward. But until then, shut up.
Amen. Well, I do have a person, but I want to keep him here in this state, and that man is Ron DeSantis.
Oh,
that's the guy right there.
I want
but
him to stay there too, because I'm not there yet.
Yeah, he needs to stay right here. He needs to stay right here in the state of Florida, because on a national scale, they will tear him apart. It'd be a bad look. So I'm hoping that he announces he's going to run for re-election. It's got to happen soon. But let's shift gears a little bit. Thoughts on Bill and Melinda Gates, this sad divorce? I mean, I shed some tears just hearing the news. What do you think?
How dare you? I'm sorry, I had to do Greta. That's weird.
That was the top story yesterday. Bill and Melinda Gates, after 27 years.
That's weird.
Divorce.
That's my tinfoil hat started going. It's just weird after all. Really. It's kind of like the day that the 21st of December 2017, when President Trump signed the executive order in one of the first actions to end human trafficking and those who commit crimes related to human trafficking. Eric Schmidt stepped down from Google like the same day. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just weird. It's just out there. And I don't even know what to say about it, because it just doesn't, it's just weird. The timing is awful. So when you've been together that long, who are you cheating with? Who would want Bill Gates?
Fauci.
Oh, thank you. the high priest of the Church of the Divine Fauciskians.
Yeah. The COVIDian religion.
Branch
Yes.
Covidians. Oh God.
Yeah. The branch COVIDians. There you go, right there. That's
Oh.
that's great. You should trademark that. The branch COVIDians.
Trademark it on this show.
Do it. Do it.
Branch Covidians. They're insane.
Oh
They're
my gosh.
insane.
I'm looking
They're
at the
the ones that ride around
chat.
with their mask on in the car.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat. People, there's some weirdos in there. They're saying Bill Gates is in Gitmo. He was executed years ago. I'm like, man, you got to stop. Don't spam my chat with that garbage. That is so out there, and it's embarrassing. It makes like sane conservatives look bad when they're like, Trump is still pulling the strings. He's still in there. They're bringing children underground. They're rescuing kids. It's like, you guys got to stop. Stop. Just stop. Snap out of it.
Please.
It's insane. Please.
No,
it's crazy.
Alive, unfortunately.
Yeah. He's alive and he's trying to block out the sun. He's releasing GMO mosquitoes. He wants you to eat synthetic beef. He's buying up farmland. He's very much a part of this NWO agenda. He bankrolled the freaking Event 201. He bankrolls Big Pharma. He bankrolls Fauci. He is very much in more. Bill Gates has more power right now than Trump, for people that still think he's getting it done any day. The deep state's going down. It's like, no, Trump supporters went down. The FBI is treating Trump supporters worse than they are foreign threats. The CIA, all these people, they're focused more on conservatives here in the US.
Yes, sir.
Getting put on no-fly lists. I'm like, if Trump is still pulling the strings, now, actually, 6 months ago would have been a great time to do something about it.
Yep.
Just saying, for all the crazy.
Still rolling along, and that now the Gates thing, the timing is weird. I don't. There's something there. I just don't. It's hard to put it's hard to see what it is.
Yeah.
Just not really. I don't have a comment on that one yet, because it's so very just out there. Why now? You've been with this fool for really? Sorry, lady. You ain't going to the club to pick up nobody either. So it's just really all weird. But I think it's just misdirection, which that the left tends to do quite a bit, because they don't want us focusing on what's truly important. There are there's geopolitical things that are important. There's been some activity with Iran. People aren't remembering all of the diplomatic advances that President Trump made that made this country a little bit safer, including North Korea. I think it's just another ploy to kind of keep the news cycle, to keep your mind away from things that we should be focused on, like the border, because it really is terribly, terribly important. I think did Governor DeSantis, he's been just off the chain lately. Like every other day, I see something with him signing executive order for this, and it's all helpful to Floridians, all of it. Unlike this moron here in Colorado, who's a useless sack of lard. I'm sorry. I'm insulting him because he's just so useless. I can't even believe this dude is a serious governor. So I'm not sure has he said anything about the border and how Floridians are going to be protected from this invasion, if Florida is going to be taking any illegals outside of the refugees from the Middle East and Africa and China and everywhere else?
I'm not sure if he said anything recently, but I know that he was very adamant, at least when he was campaigning, about banning sanctuary cities, sanctuary counties, shoring up the election process, because that's the real damage on top of the other damage that impacts Americans from illegal immigration. But if they're able to vote, then that's how you would shift the landscape in Florida, and he's already outlawed that, but he hasn't really been focused much on that. He's been focused more on the lockdowns and all of that, and he just recently signed an executive order actually suspending all the COVID restrictions at the local level. But I don't think it goes far enough. I think it needs to be more, I hate to say it because it sounds like I'm asking for government intervention, but the government should only be there to protect the rights of the citizen, right? And if these big corporations can still force people to wear masks, Costco is a prime example of how they'll yell at you if you don't cover your face. It's not healthy, and it's a violation of individual rights. And yes, people say, I'm a private business, but I've said this before. A private business can't just slap women on the butt when they walk in. They can't say everybody has to dress in skimpy clothes to come in our business because it's our private business. So how far are these private businesses allowed to go when they're operating on public land? And I just think that there needs to be, because otherwise the mask mandate's never going to go away. The mask is the only visible sign that we're still in a pandemic, and these big corporations are on board with enforcing it. Pretty soon, the mask sign will turn into, where is your vaccine card?
Where's your papers?
Yeah, where's your papers? So if he doesn't do anything about it now, then again, going back to what are we conserving, then that's when I'll have a problem. It needs to go even further than that, because it's one thing if you go and say, all right, Miami-Dade, Tampa, St. Petersburg, you can't enforce this anymore. You can't crush local businesses. Now, if local businesses still want to make people wear a mask, they'll go out of business quick, especially down here in Florida. But these big corporations that aren't going to listen, these airlines, airports, different like private businesses that are huge, if they're still going to enforce that, then what is the governor doing? I think he needs to step in and say, you're not allowed to force people to cover their face to use your business when you're operating on public land. That's not the law of the land here in Florida. So you can't. I mean, they regulate businesses already anyway. Government already regulates businesses. So the way I see it, if they're already regulating businesses, why can't he tell these big corporations, if you're going to do business in Florida, you're not allowed to force people to cover their face to go into the store, because it's a violation of their health. We already know it's not healthy to be wearing a mask all day. You saw the video of the girl running track, and then she passed out because she was running track with a mask on. Right? This is going to be permanent if we don't stop it. If somebody doesn't take a stand, if somebody doesn't speak up and say no to the vaccine, no to the mask, then they're just going to keep doing this forever. There's no end date in sight. They're just going to keep this up. That's why they're begging you to get it. They're begging you. They're like, free donuts, free beer. You can go back to normal. They're telling you, we're gonna make this mandatory by basically incentivizing you. If you want your freedom back, you got to get it. That's the same thing as making it mandatory. If you want to be free, if you want to uncover your face, you got to get the jab, which is funny because people are still wearing the mask after they got it.
Got it. They're doing that out here too. They oh my God, it's so embarrassing. They're offering people free weed. Oh Jesus, help us, God, please.
Do we need any more proof that they don't care about your health? It was never about health. It's never been about science. It's not about science. When you go to a restaurant, they're at full capacity here in Florida, full capacity. But the only people in there wearing masks are the staff. The staff will be like 10 people, but there's like 100 people in the restaurant. So how is that science? 10 people are going to save 100 people from COVID because they're masked up. It's not science. It's not science to put your mask on, to walk from your table to the bathroom. And then when you sit back down, you can take it off. Germs are everywhere. And wearing a mask for 15 seconds while you walk into a restaurant is not going to change that. They're freaking out about there's no herd immunity. It's impossible for us to reach herd immunity because these conservatives, they're making it partisan. Conservatives and Republicans don't want to get the vaccine. They're the reason why we can't reach herd immunity. That's why we can't eradicate this virus. We haven't eradicated the flu. And, it's like, yeah, you can go on and on and on about this. But the point I'm trying to get to is this will never end. This will never end if people don't stand up. People of consequence stepping up and speaking out. Thank you, Joe Rogan, for telling the truth. Thank you, people with big platforms questioning what's happening. Governor Ron DeSantis needs to do just a little bit more in order to really make a meaningful change that can have a ripple effect across the country, because all these other states follow suit. Whenever Florida bans this or signs executive order against that, then you see Texas, Mississippi, the Dakotas start to follow suit.
Right, right. Probably not Colorado, because this moron just wants to keep the communism going. And to me, you're going to keep allowing. It's just antithetical to logic and reason. There are 200,000 people. Those are the ones they catch. Those are the ones they catch, not the gotaways. And I talked to a top Border Patrol agent on the regular. He's my dog. Okay. Those aren't the gotaways, because they're paying so much attention to the unaccompanied minors. The cartels are sending the drugs and the other ones on through in the other directions. So until you guys get that under control, don't tell me about masks and pandemics. I don't want to hear it, because Mexico, they're coming through Mexico. Mexico is the worst for the pandemic right now. They say it's India. No, it's not. No, it's not. We've seen videos of people in India saying, what are you people talking about? There's nobody falling dead in the street here. What are you talking about? No, it is by clinical definition and by the numbers, it is Mexico. But you got hundreds of thousands of people coming in here from Mexico every single freaking month. But you want to restrict me? No, bruh, I don't think so. It's gotten to that point where it's just like, it's ridiculous. We have to, as American citizens, especially Republicans, especially conservatives, we have to obey the rules. But foreign nationals don't. They can't make sure all those people have masks. They're over capacity. I mean, this just makes no sense. There is no science. There are no rules. When the border is wide open, stop trying to make me behave when you got the circus right next to me. So it's just,
the whole thing is a mess. The whole thing is a mess. Biden continues to fearmonger about this. Like, you could end up killing your grandma, or maybe that was Cuomo. The irony. He's like, God. You might kill your grandma if you don't get the vaccine. And Biden's like, anybody can die who's unvaccinated. We're going to make it easier than ever before to get it. It's like, the problem isn't that it's not easy enough, it's people don't want to get it. And the more that you're trying to hard sell us on it, the more you're pushing us, the less likely we're going to do it. And then for all the people who want to virtue signal, look at me, I'm so responsible. I wear a mask. Here's my vaccine card. Look at me saving humanity. Unlike you anti-vaccine Nazi whites. It's like, is that going to make them go get the vaccine by you shaming them and name calling and dehumanizing them? Is that going to make them agree? Or are you just that crazy lady in the car flipping people off with your mask on and your windshield wipers going when there's no rain? That's where we are right now in America. You'll get yelled at, screamed at. They'll shame you. They'll tell you how irresponsible and terrible you are if you don't get the vaccine and wear a mask. While they're vaccinated, they're wearing masks. They're freaking out. They're paranoid. They're buying into all this panic porn, just so freaked out. And they look at you as you walk through just living a normal life. And that's how they've inverted reality. They look at you like a crazy person. Right. If you're walking around unafraid, realizing that the world is not more dangerous now than it was before COVID, you are the crazy person. You're considered a conspiracy theorist if you just want to build your natural immune system, as opposed to taking this rush through safety trials, experimental mRNA vaccination. That's where we are right now. And I'm tired of it. And with the border stuff, people crossing the border are just unfettered, just immigration, just coming through, unvaccinated, not socially distancing, but we have to open up slowly. in all these states.
Oh, because they're sick. Yeah, they come here sick, by the way.
Yeah.
They come here sick. I'll just leave. I'll say that. They're sick. So don't try to put me in a box. It doesn't make any sense. And why would China stop? You notice I think they've stopped putting it on some of these packages. All of these masks, they're either made in India or China. So they're making tons of money. Why would they stop? Why would they want us to stop wearing them? It's just something else, man. It's something else. You're right. We have to stand up. We have to stand up to these people and not allow ourselves to be shamed and ridiculed and told that something's wrong with us because we're sane. No, something's wrong with you because you're not. My immune system is fine. I know people who are they've been in their home for a year. I can't deal with that. That's just too stupid. I cannot handle it. I can have conversations I work with someone who's a self-proclaimed socialist, borderline communist. And, we joke back and forth. We can have a conversation. He's not a crazy, screaming liberal. But she just believes in, college for, I don't know how you do that with these tenured professors who make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and these large endowments for universities and colleges. I don't know how you get free college out of that, but if somebody can figure that out, go ahead and tell me. It'll never work here. Sorry. Nice idea though. But I can have a conversation with this person and there's no yelling, there's no screaming, there's joking. How's my favorite communist today? Some people are just weird. But we've been on a telework thing since last March. And some people have not left their house. They have not been in the office for a whole year. They just refuse. They're scared to death. They have scared these people out of their minds. It's crazy.
Yeah, but they want you to think that's
I've been
healthy.
Out since March. Last March, I never stopped going outside. I never stopped going to the store. I never stopped. That's why my immune system is strong. And other people, when they do finally leave their house, they're going to drop dead.
Yeah, I know of one person that locked down, quarantined, wore a mask, just freaked out, stayed indoors for several months. And then as soon as she went out, she got sick because that's how it works. Your body's always fighting off viruses. That's how your immune system is built up to begin with. And you don't have to be some Harvard scientist to know that. Right. Kids build their immune system by playing on the playground, getting dirty. Kids are little germ factories. And if they're not exposed to all of the toxins and germs and dirt, their immune system will suffer. You have to build your immune system. That's why I keep a whole assortment of immunity boosting supplements on deck at my house all the time.
Yep.
Because that's the way I've always done it. And I barely get sick. I might get a cold once every other year and it's mild and I knock it out in 3 days because I know my body. I don't agree with this one size fits all solution. They're rolling it out and making it seem like you have to get it. If you're not afraid constantly, then there's something wrong with you. But it's healthy to constantly worry about germs and cover your face all the time. And I'm not playing along. I don't want to play this game anymore. I've been done with it. I never played the game, honestly, but I don't want to even talk about it anymore. It's just if people want to wear masks and do all that stuff, go do it. No power to you. More power to you, but don't sit there and try to tell me it's science and that I'm keeping somebody safe and I'm keeping them healthy by me covering my face when I'm healthy. If somebody tells me to put on a mask when I go somewhere, I'm like, no, thanks. I don't need it. I'm fine. And I just keep walking because they don't get paid enough to care. They don't get paid enough to enforce it. So they just let it go. Right. I encourage everybody, hey, go into a business. I went to Home Depot today. They have a giant sign that you have to actually walk around. That first sliding door opens up, and then there's another sliding door. Right in between the two sliding doors is a giant sign with a huge mask on it, so that you see it when you walk in. I just walk right around it, and then when I go inside, there's like 50 people without masks on. I'm like, good. That's what we need to happen. There needs to be a ripple effect everywhere. If you want to do it in blue states, do it. But if you don't want to do it, that's fine with me too. But I'm the fact that Biden is trying to make this thing a national one size fits all. Everybody's going to get it, even though you'll have a different reaction, even though there's no science behind it. We're just winging it. We're just making it up as we go along. We're calling it science, and it's patriotic to do it. It's an inversion of what is true and what is real.
Absolutely.
And that's all I can really say about it.
Absolutely.
But we could talk about this all day long.
Oh, I know.
Do you have anything else you want to say? Anything else on your mind? Get it out. We can keep going, or it's up to you.
You guys, I'm trying to think of something else that's in the news that's really that really stood out. Every day is an adventure anymore. I tell people now, get involved in your local politics. Get involved in your local politics, your local school board. We saw the school board in Vail, Arizona, just so everybody is keenly aware. Vail, it was not Vail, Colorado. These scared individuals here, that I don't know that they would do that. Maybe in some of the rural counties, but not up in Summit County, not in Vail. That was Vail, Arizona, where the parents pretty much got rid of the school board because of the mask mandates for children. They just said, our children are not, there's no more restrictions, no more lockdowns, no more, just stop it. So they replaced them. So get involved in your local politics. City council, run for city council. This is the only way that blue states will have a chance moving forward. And it's the, I know the Arizona Secretary of State is a little nervous. I saw her video earlier. She's a little nervous about the thing that's going on. And she basically said that if this is successful, it'll just have a ripple effect around the country, and other states will start doing this. So that's kind of her little warning to the other blue states. You need to just not allow this in your state. So it's just, there's a lot going on right now, but it just proves that getting involved in your local politics does have an effect. When you show up in numbers, they don't know how to handle that. They do not know how to handle that. One or two of you, they can just call you conspiracy theorist, conservative, and dismiss you. But when it's numbers, members of the community, they have to pay attention because it makes national news. Yeah. So get involved in local politics and just fight the good fight of faith. We have no choice. The only option is communism. Let them have it. Oh, I just don't want to do anything. I don't want to be involved in politics. I just don't want to be involved. Well, okay, then you may as well just start preparing to show your papers.
Exactly. You may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you.
That's right.
So we can go ahead and wrap. I know some people in the chat were like, say something about the Arizona audit. What do you want me to say about it? It's happening.
It's happening.
I mean, it's not. What can I say about it? What is there to say other than there's an audit taking place in Arizona? People don't want it to happen. We'll see what comes of it, but I'm not going to sit there and be like, this is the beginning. Watch out, guys. He's coming back. I'm like, no, let's just chill. Let's hit the pause on that. Right. Let's just let it happen.
Let's see what happens.
Right. For the guy, I had to put the guy in timeout because he was just spamming the chat, just going crazy. Like, Trump's really in power. He's really doing all this. I'm like, I got to put you in timeout. It's just crazy. Like, let it happen. If it's all true, if all these things are true, just let it happen. Right. Some people are like, Mike hasn't done his research. He hasn't woken up yet. I'm like, you mean I haven't watched all these QAnon channels lie and lead you off a cliff constantly? I'm just like, no, I'm sorry, man. Sometimes you just got to say it like it is. And some people get upset and they get angry, but it doesn't make it less true. Right. Believing in some faceless person somebody that's a coward won't even show their face,
Right.
telling you all these lies, fear mongering, and then telling you to get My Patriot Supply. Like, don't you see the game? Come on.
Oh, wow.
Come on. They've been doing this since 2020. The grift is so real.
All right.
It's whatever, man. That's all I got to say about it.
Where we see, I want to see it at this point.
Yeah, seeing is believing. I want to see it.
I still have, I have such strong faith. I do believe that things are going to change for the better. I know that there are some good things going on, but I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to be, I want to do, and I want to see it. I want to talk about it and just, hopium is wonderful. It keeps you going sometimes because, man, hope deferred makes the heart sick, for sure. But this is the reality that we live in right now. And it's very strange. It's just all very strange. So just get in your prayer closet and do your thing. And I think some good things are happening, but I don't like to say it because I'm a big believer in your words have life. And I don't need something negative grabbing onto what I say. And if there are things going on in the background, thank Christ. But you're not going to know. None of these people broadcast. You're not going to know because you don't tell your enemy what you're doing. That is not a good strategic move. Let it be on the down low. And when the audit is finished, we'll know what's going on. And all I see is the Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs, is freaking out. That's a good sign. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. You know, there's some weird things that happen. And all that darkness shall be brought to the light. That's where I'm at with it.
Amen. And in the end, God wins. Jesus
Always.
is King. Jesus is Lord. That's all I need. That's all I need. I don't need message boards. I don't need to hallucinate about these theories of children going through tunnel. I don't need to do none of that. Just that's it. That's all I got to say. But yeah, this was a great chat. We should maybe try to do this more regular.
Please,
because your commentary is great and people love you. Guys, go subscribe to Karen Kennedy. You can just search it on YouTube. It should pop right up. You just type in Karen Kennedy. Let's get her to 10,000 subscribers. Just do it. Subscribe. She goes on rants on her channel. She'll do a live stream and just tear it up. Just tear it up. So support Karen Kennedy. Make sure you like this stream. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that good stuff. Special shout out to all the super chatters, especially my man, Let's Be Frank. He said to make sure you're on Odyssey. I'm working on it. I'll get on there.
Get on Odyssey, man.
Get on Odyssey. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. God bless you. We'll catch you in the next stream.